Good morning, everybody. We're here to talk about divots. So, there's an old saying that there's no wrong way to do the right thing, but I'm about to show you that there most definitely is a wrong way to fill a divot, even though filling a divot is good and right. So, first off, in the shoulder seasons when we're getting rain and it's not too hot, these divots will grow back fairly quickly if they have a little bit of soil and roots on the bottom. So, if you come to an area where you've hit a divot and you can see it and it hasn't exploded into a whole bunch of little pieces, by all means you should grab that divot and place it back from where you hit it, get the edges in, it only takes a few seconds, and step it down with all your weight, because that will help the roots get kind of stuck into the ground a little bit and allow them to grow nicely. But I will always have signs up at the first tee and the 10th tee which will tell you whether it's the time of year that I prefer you fill the divots or replace them. So usually May through October, I would normally have you filling the divots because they'll dry out so quickly that you'll just end up with a dead piece of turf. It takes a long time for new little grasses to grow through. So even though that's not a bad surface to hit off of, you'll end up with a quicker, nicer surface with new bent grass if you fill the divot in when we're in a relatively dry period. So that would be only when it's moist and cooler out. So right now, we don't need this. Get rid of that. This is summertime. So just get rid of that. And then back here with my trusty green sand bottle, which has sand and a mix of a few other things to help the grass grow over it. Some peat moss to help hold some moisture to allow the plant to move over it. Green, so aesthetically it looks pleasing in the fairway. So, you'd think that, hey, can't really do that wrong, right? Well, let me tell you, there's a lot of bad things you can do when you're filling a divot. So we have very, very sensitive mower reels that get dulled very quickly if you go through a pile of sand. And you say, well, it's not a big deal, it just spreads the sand out, which technically isn't a bad thing. However, those dull reels make a bad cut on the grass, make the grass weaker, more susceptible to disease, and ultimately a less nice playing surface for all of you to hit off of. So doing it right will pay dividends. It'll use less expensive sand and you'll have a better surface to hit off even if your ball does creep onto that sandy divot. So I see a lot of people hold their divot bottle like this. But how do you control it? It comes out, oh shoot, now it's out all over the place because you can't control how that sand is coming out. And we really don't want it to be covering the grass around there. I'm going to smooth it by hand, but if you do it correctly, you don't ever have to touch the ground with your hand. So ultimately, that's kind of a nice thing. You want it filled just even with where the ground would be underneath, not up to the top of the grass. So a ball rolls into that, it sort of simulates. It's not the best shot to have to hit, but at least you can play. It's not going to have a big chunk of earth in front of your shot if your ball ends up there. Now, if you hold your sand bottle with a spout upwards, you can see you have much more control. You can just jiggle out just what you need, right? And this is a case where, believe it or not, less is more, right? It'd be preferable from an agronomic standpoint to have less rather than not enough. And that was kind of a deep divot, so I was able to put quite a bit in. You give it a little tap with your foot, it smooths and evens it out, and voila, you can actually see here, this is an old divot that's filling over. It was filled a little bit, but probably not quite enough. So now your ball can actually, even with the grass, this nice new bent grass, growing over that old divot, the ball can settle down in there. Whereas this one, when the grass grows over it, it'll already be a nice firm surface right up even with the rest of the grass, which should give you a pretty nice lie. Shallow divot. With those, the purpose of filling those isn't even so much to allow a place for the grass to grow over because it really only skimmed a little dirt off. It's more just to get it where if your ball does roll onto it, it's more even with the rest of the surface. So when you go to hit a shot, it's actually a little bit easier to hit off of than if it's down into a little bit of a gully. But that's kind of up in the air if you got just a skimmed off piece, whether or not you even fill that. But definitely a deep divot. I think it'll pay dividends for all of you, and I know it'll pay dividends for me if you do it correctly. So thank you for watching, everyone.